So let's just start with you, Christine. What are some of these back and forth with the car companies? There have been some exceptions to those tariffs for auto manufacturers?
Yeah, well, there's been some relief in terms of not stacking a bunch of different tariffs on top of each other, and that was welcome news for these car companies. But then you've heard from GM now that it's going to cost it $4 to $5 billion to comply with the president's tariffs. That's a lot of money. That wipes out about a third of what would have been last year's, more than a third of what would have been last year's profit. And then you've got the U.S. Chamber of Commerce this morning, basically practically begging the White House for relief for small business, saying, like, look, these are the people who really need the exemptions. These are people who don't have lawyers and lobbyists to represent them to get carve-outs like Apple maybe did for some of its products and like the car companies did. These small businesses are really suffering, the Chamber of Commerce says, and it will be existential, saying that if you want to avert a recession, you need to get these small businesses should be exempted immediately from having to pay these tariffs. So really, businesses large and small, illustrating just how damaging the president's trade war will be to their business.
And we were talking yesterday about the latest numbers. What do the latest numbers point to as of today?
Well, the latest numbers show us that in the first 3 months of the year, the economy actually shrank. And the economy shrank because businesses, big businesses mostly, were rushing to get as much inventory as they could before the president's tariffs took effect. So that distorted. That is essentially the threat of the president's trade war distorting sort of the balances in the global economy and causing the U.S. economy to shrink for the first time since the coronavirus pandemic started in 2020. Now, we don't know what will happen in the second quarter, well, whether it'll snap back. We know that the backdrop here is that businesses were still spending, consumers were still spending. But I'm looking at this morning at a McDonald's earnings report, Jose, that really is interesting. Low-income consumers, their traffic to sales at McDonald's plummeted, and middle-income consumers as well. So when you see sales fall for the biggest since, again, the coronavirus pandemic for something like McDonald's, that tells you that there's some pressure on consumers right now who are worried about the president's trade war.
I want to also welcome NBC News senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell to our conversation. So, Kelly, what are you watching for from the White House today? There is this prayer event.
And that is upcoming, and we'll see if the president goes off the intended subject matter to speak on any of these broader topics. He's often known to do that. And certainly earlier today, Stephen Miller, who is the deputy chief of staff and one of the president's most sort of pugnacious advisors, often tangling with media and arguing very strongly and fervently for positions that the administration takes, from immigration to the economy. He talked about the American auto business and investments that are being made. Of course, we know that the automakers have had that seat at the table that Christine was talking about, of having an important sort of pathway to get the president on the phone or to get a meeting with him and to try to get some relief on tariffs. We've seen that already in the auto industry, where it would be staggered for them, in part because so many of the parts and supplies and then ultimately finishing products in the automotive business come across the whole continent, not just within the United States. Earlier this morning, Stephen Miller talked about what he describes as a very ambitious investment in the American auto business, as he would say, as a result of the president's leadership.
Brendan.
U.S. automakers have announced dramatic investments and expansions inside the United States. American auto plants are growing, they are expanding, they're opening new facilities, they're expanding existing facilities that are already in operation, because it is now the case that for the first time in our lives, that American cars receive preference in America's markets.
So that's Miller putting his best spin on some of the positions the administration has taken, the emphasis from President Trump and his team to try to encourage manufacturing in the United States. Of course, during the first Trump administration, part of the USMCA, the trade agreement there, expanded the auto industry across Canada, Mexico, and the United States. And so now they're trying to direct that more into the interior of the U.S. Jose?
Yeah, Brendan, the president once again said he inherited a mess from his predecessor, President Biden. And we heard him there talking about, well, yeah, maybe kids are going to have fewer dolls or more expensive dolls. How is this messaging landing with the public?
Yeah, I mean, I think you had a lot of heads hitting desks on Capitol Hill with Republicans when they heard the president say that. I mean, look, if this goes the way we think it's going to, with the economy, with shelves being empty and prices going up, as the president basically acknowledged, I think this will go down as one of the more infamous presidential lines in modern history. I think it's remarkable, though, that he is acknowledging that there is going to be real pain with his policy. I mean, Donald Trump usually never really gives in, but even he is acknowledging that there is pain on the way. And I think the problem for him is this is not short, quick pain. This is if you really want to onshore manufacturing from around the world, you're going to need pain for a really long time. Stephen Miller is talking about factories opening up. There's no evidence that as a result of these tariffs, they're immediately bringing factories here. So the pain will be here for a long time. And the politics, I think, are just devastating for him. Look, the economy is not the only thing that matters in politics, but it is the first thing that matters in politics. And the president will have no one to blame but himself for this. And this is full Trumpism. The first time around, he had a lot of people restricting him. You had people kind of tapping the brakes on some of his trade policy, but we're getting the full Trump here, and we're going to see what it produces. And it feels like it's not heading in a very good direction for him, and Republicans will probably pay a pretty big price for it.
Simone, how effective is the full Trumpism effects of tariffs being communicated?
Well, look, I think from the White House's perspective, let's just be very clear. Donald Trump has benefited for a very long time from being able to say a number of things. Oftentimes, they're not true, but he says them, and his allies repeat them. If you say it enough, people believe it. I think they're trying to take that tact here with tariffs. And let's just be very clear, tariff is a tax that the American consumer pays because the money is often passed on to the consumer. Because this is something that people feel every day, like this is not a high level, econ 405 class or whatnot, advanced economics. It's basic. If I go to the store right now, if I go to Amazon and I click on trying to buy my favorite skincare, which I did do the other day, when I had it in my cart last week, it was one price, and this week it's a different price. What is the reason for the price change? The answer is Donald Trump's economic policy. And so I do think that the White House is not good at communicating it. And I think the Democrats have hit on that this is something you're going to feel. You heard Vice President Harris, former Vice President, say this last night. She said, I told you about these tariffs. She said, as I said, what would happen? This is what has happened. So they need to continue to speak the truth about what is going on. But also, at some point, you got to give the American people some relief. I am concerned about what this means for, the last thing I'll note is business owners and the people that work for them. You think about a restaurant, Jose, there are restaurant owners in this country who are small business owners, by the way, who have bought shrimp that they need, or you can put any food on the table that doesn't come from America, and the tariffs that they're paying are 2, 3, 4 times as much. A business owner told me the other day he paid $40,000 in taxes on shrimp. He needed the shrimp, but who's going to get those costs passed on to them?
Yeah, and I think of the even smaller business owners, or the taquerias, or even the small bodegas, and how they have to deal with the products that they have to purchase, which are not made in the United States. And Brendan, last night the president was asked about the political risks that come with this tariff strategy. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Do you have a timeline yourself? Do you say, look, it's got to stabilize by this time, fall? Because remember, if it doesn't stabilize this time next year, Democrats may win the midterms. So there is risk here, big risk.
That's true. It is true. And I just think that I'll be able to convince people how good this is.
Brendan, how are congressional Republicans seeing all of this?
Well, I don't think they're happy about it, but there are a lot of Republicans who I think are trying to convince themselves that by passing the tax bill that the Congress is working on right now, that will provide some type of relief or kind of jolt to the economy. And I'm just skeptical of that. Look, I helped pass the tax bill in 2017. I absolutely think Congress should extend it. But the reality is that tax bill that the president talks about is huge tax cuts is mostly just keeping people's tax rates exactly where they are today. It's not exactly the type of thing that you would expect to create a huge economic boom, and most people probably won't even notice that Congress did it. And so, even if there is some benefit from it, I think it's going to be overshadowed by the tariff policy. The problem, sort of long term for the president, is I'm not really sure what the exit ramp here is that makes things better. Even if you want to go do some trade deals take a really long time. We have a trade deal with Canada and Mexico, even though he ignores it, but that took a really long time to negotiate, often years to negotiate. So there's no quick, easy way to make this all better for him.